Hello, this is James Himm Mitchell, your intuitive guidance counselor, and I'm here with another video for your weekly outlook with the Lenormand. And for this video, I'm going to be using the Piatnik Lenormand. It's a traditional classic deck, much like my Dondorf that I've been using in my previous videos. And so, I'm going to be doing for this video another line of 5. And I choose the line of 5 because it's a nice way to get a direct answer with the Lenormand. So I'm going to take the deck, I'm going to shuffle the cards. A few times, I think one more time. And then what I do is I take the deck and I cut it into 3. Put it back together. And then I take the cards and I fan them out and I choose 5. I just choose the ones that speak to me. Okay. Then after I pick my 5, I'm going to lay them out in a line, and I just want to make sure they line up in the shot. Okay, there we go. All right, and now, as I always do, the middle card is going to be our focus card. So this is the card that's going to show us what it is that could be the highlight or the focus of the week. And here we have the fox. I'll hold it up a little bit. So the fox is a card that can be a little bit of a challenge. This is a card that can represent something being wrong. It can also be about manipulation, being taken advantage of, being sly, clever, cunning, things of that nature. So it can represent either something that we may need to take advantage of, or that we have to be cautious about being taken advantage of. So it'll be important to see what the surrounding cards are, but this is a challenging card. It can represent something that may be wrong or something that's a mistake, but like I said, it's going to be a challenge, as this is our focus card. So then what I do is, the rest of the reading is read in pairs, because Lenormand typically is read in pairs or triplets. So what I do next is I look at the cards that are flanking the middle card, and this is going to give up some more in-depth information. So we'll turn all the cards over and then I'll look at those. Alright, so here we have the key and the lilies. The key is a card that represents an answer or a solution. It can represent a breakthrough, a discovery, or revelation. The keys unlock something, so it's about something being unlocked. So this is a very significant card. It's a card that represents yes with an exclamation mark when it shows up in the reading. So this is actually a very good sign. Over here on the other side we have the lilies. And the lilies can represent something that is peaceful. It can represent something that needs to be taken care of. It can also represent an older man, because the inset from the playing card is the King of Spades. So this card typically can represent an older man. If it's not an older man, then the lilies can represent something old, or something having to do with an elder or a mentor, something of that nature. Okay, so I read the pair as an answer or a breakthrough or a discovery that could become peaceful or lead to something peaceful. It could also be a need to protect an answer, a solution, or a discovery. So something may need to be protected, or it could be a revelation that becomes peaceful. So I'm seeing that. Then we take the outer pairs. We have the letter and we have the cross. So the letter is a card that represents news or messages. It can represent something being written. It represents paperwork or documentation. So things like a blog, it could be an email, a text, some form of correspondence that's usually written. So that's the letter. And on this side we have the cross. Now, just like the fox being the middle card, the cross is a challenging card. Whenever the cross comes up, it represents some form of difficulty, a burden, something that is critical, something that could be a crisis or an ordeal, something that could lead to grief or suffering. I tend to look at the cross a little more positively, as it can represent some aspect of our spirituality or religion if you're into more traditional religious paths or experiences. So, but typically this represents a challenge. So it could represent coming towards the end of the week. It could represent something that is a burden or a challenge by the week's end. So the cross and the letter could be a spiritual writing or spiritual news or a spiritual message. It could be a critical message. It could be something that's necessary. So we could be getting a necessary or critical message. I'm seeing that with the key, it could be something that creates the space for a discovery, a breakthrough, or a revelation. So going with that. Then what we do is we could look at the two cards coming before the fox, and we have the letter and the key. So this would be an important message, because the key in this sense could represent something that's important, something that's vital, something that's certain. So going with reading the pair, it could be an important message, a vital message, a message that leads to a breakthrough, a revelation, or a discovery. So, and then going with that, it could be news that creates a breakthrough or discovery that needs to be taken advantage of. Like once we have the discovery or the breakthrough, then we need to act on it or follow it through. Sometimes the fox in this sense can represent work. It can represent like being an employee. So playing on that idea could be like some information that we receive that we have to do something with or take some action on. So I'm seeing that. Then over here we have the lilies and the cross. They become a pair. And again, it could be, in this case, I'm looking at the lilies as being maturity. So it could be something that grows us or matures us as part of our spiritual growth and development. It's very important that we grow in this way, we become more mature. It could also be a critical experience. The lilies can be experienced, so it's something that's critical, something that's necessary. It could also be playing on, again, the playing card being the King of Spades. It could be a religious man or a spiritual man. It could also be a man who is either grieving or suffering in some regard. And so I'm seeing that. So what we do then is look at the line and see what might be the message, because Lenormand takes every card and each card forms a word in an overall message. So I'm looking at the letter, so that could be a news or message. Then the key is like, that's important. And then the fox could be another aspect of the fox I didn't mention, but as I'm looking at the line, it could be that's necessary or important for our survival, because the fox is all about survival. So it could be news or a message that's important for our survival, and that's going to mature us or grow us, or something that's going to turn out to be peaceful, or something that we need to protect. The fox, coming from a place of survival, may need to protect him or herself. So it could be like, how can we create ways that are going to protect us in our everyday experience in terms of just survival. Sometimes with the fox, it could be like the emphasis on like just surviving through the week. So, you know, what would you need to do to kind of just get by? It could be, that could be the message, like what do we need to do to just get by? And then going with this then, but the cross would say it's critical, it's necessary, it's something that's going to grow us spiritually. So I'm seeing that there's an important message coming, and other than our survival, then the fox would be like, what do we need to do in terms of working with that or taking advantage of that? How can we take that information and make it work for us? Okay, so I'm seeing that with the cards. Then what we do is we move on to using the pips. And if you watch my previous videos, then you know what I do with the pips is I do the hidden dynamics first. And that requires us to look at the outer pips. So we have the 7 of spades on the letter and the 6 of clubs on the cross. So we take 7 and 6 and add them together. We have 13. So the 13th card in the deck is the child. And so the child, here we go. The child is a card that can represent something new, something small, something little. It could represent something that needs to be learned and something that is still developing. It has the potential to develop because that's what children do. Children are, developing and growing. But it represents something new. And also being a beginner. So it could be like this work. Let's say the fox is something that has to be worked on. Then it would be a new experience, or you're at the beginning stage of it. So that's the child. Then we take the pips from the inner cards. So we have the 8 of diamonds with the key, and we have the king of spades with the lilies. And so 8 and 13, kings in cartomancy are 13. So that is 21. So the 21st card is the mountain. And the mountain, when it comes up, can be a card that represents blocks. It can represent obstacles. It can represent challenges. It can also represent something that is creating a setback or a delay. Just like the cross and just like the fox, this is considered a challenge card. So it would be whatever this work is, or whatever it is that we need to take advantage of. It can either be something that is new or creates a new experience, or something that's going to be a setback or a delay or a challenge. So here's the thing I'm seeing with this. So the work going with the fox is between something being simple, because the child can represent simplicity, or something that could be a challenge or an obstacle, and that would make it a little more difficult. So that's where the hidden dynamics are. The other thing we can do with the pips on the cards is take them all and add them all across. So we have the 7 of spades with the letter. So 7 plus 8 plus 9 with the fox. We have the 9 of clubs plus the 13 for the king of spades, and then 6. That gives us 43. And so with the cards only being 36 cards in the deck, what we do is we take the 4 and the 3 and add them together for 7. And the 7th card in the deck is another challenging card. So this week could be working through some challenges or difficulties, because we have a lot of challenging cards this week. And so the snake is a card that can represent problems. It can represent complications. It could represent something being complex. The snake being coiled here could represent something that's going to create entanglement, or it could be something that's a long and winding road or a long and winding process. So it's not just like a straight line from A to B. There's going to be some curves, some twists, some turns as we move through the week. But this card typically represents something being complicated or something being complex. So that is our essence card. And so the last thing we can do is we can take the numbers, because Lenormand has 3 aspects. It has the symbol on the card itself, the playing card, and then the actual number of the card. So we can take the numbers and add them all across. And this just gives us another essence card that we can consider. So we have 27 plus 33 plus 14 plus 30 plus 36. And that gives us 140. So again, you take the 1, the 4, and the 0, add them together, and you get 5. Now, the 5th card in the deck is the tree. And this is a very positive card. The tree, and there we go. The tree is a card of growth and development. Now, it could be these complications going with the snake could just mean that things are going to be taking time to grow. The tree is all about patience and letting things develop over time. It could also be about our health and our well-being, so there's that aspect of it too. I tend to look at the tree as a very spiritual card in this sense. It can represent our spiritual growth and personal growth and development. So whatever the situation is this week, I'm going to say that going with the lilies and the cross is how can we look at this as a spiritual growth experience? And that's with the tree. So again, these are the cards. We have the letter, we have the key, we have the fox, we have the lilies, we have the cross. So it could be the beginning of the week we receive some important message that's, with the two cards, the letter and the key, an important message that we may have to take some action on. There's some work we may need to do with that. It's about taking advantage of it when it comes. And then as we move through the week, the lilies is about coming to a place of peace. It's about coming to a place of experience, coming to a place of maturity. And then how can we allow that to be part of our spiritual growth and evolution with the cross? How can we, instead of looking at it as a burden or something difficult, how can we turn that around and make it something that was necessary, something that we had to experience in order for us to grow? So these are the cards for the week. I am James Himm Mitchell, your intuitive guidance counselor.